Hey y'all, it's Nomadic Shaman here. Thank you for visiting my page. Today's video, I wanted to focus on final thoughts as a wrap up to my Gangstalking story and experience. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for those who were with me at episode 1. Thank you for those who were with me since TikTok. Okay, and then migrated over here to YouTube. So thank you for those who witnessed my episode 1, those who hopped in the middle, and those who came at the tail end. You didn't get a chance to see my previous videos. Feel free to take a look. But I want to say thank you. That's first and foremost. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't know what this would evolve into. Initially, I just want to share a cautionary tale about meeting, dating online, these dating apps. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be these dating apps. It can also be social media, okay? Because a lot of times they operate like dating apps too, okay? So Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn at times, okay? Instagram, and of course TikTok. But either way, that was my intention. Just sharing a cautionary tale about dating online and all of the things that can come from it based on my personal experience. Initially, my intent has always been, even up until this point, was to educate, inform, and inspire. And that still very much holds true. As of today, present, just to give you guys a brief update, right now, we're in August of 2025. Is your girl still getting gangstalked? Yes. People following, tracking, hacking. Also, same with psychic and spiritual attacks. That's still going on too. I don't think so much the white collar crimes as far as civil crimes, and I think because there's a heavy alphabet boys presence, okay, CIA, FBI, DEA. Just to name a few, at least very heavily on me. And of course, if they're very heavily on me, they're going to be heavy on those who are gang stalking me as well. That's just the part of the course, right? I hope I'm saying that right. But anyways, you guys understand. Everybody being watched up in this bitch. Okay, good, bad, or indifferent. But anyways, I just, again, wanted to say thank you. As far as some of the takeaways that I've learned from this is I've learned that vulnerability is definitely a strength. It isn't something you should shy away from. And me being able to share my story online has been very therapeutic for me. There has been moments where I've taken breaks, long-ass breaks, only because I have never shared a lot of the things that I discussed with you. I never shared with anyone else. Definitely not in its whole entirety. And I realized as I was telling my story that I got really emotional in some parts. And in certain parts, very overwhelmed because I was reliving those experiences. It wasn't until me sharing my story did it really dawn on me, like, damn, I went through a lot. I went through a lot. And, there was a point, which adding on to that, I will say this, I've definitely learned how strong I am. I mean, I've always considered myself to be strong physically, but mentally, I've always thought of myself to be strong as mentally. But now, having experienced it and still going through these experiences, it's like I'm a beast up in this bitch. I feel like that mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And there may be moments where I get tired, just, and who wouldn't, constantly being attacked, psychically, spiritually, the harassment and the bullying that ensued, not to mention the civil and criminal crimes that were done against me. You get tired. I get tired. Okay, so I also shared those moments of when I was tired and fatigued. It doesn't make it any easier, right? As I'm sharing and I'm being very vulnerable, and my story and my testimony, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? That's a given, especially since I chose to come up here on a public platform. However, someone who is going through, gang stalking, one of the things that, in addition to everything that they're experiencing, another part is the scrutiny, the judgment, folks being quick to be dismissive as far as, regarding their story to be outlandish, fantasy, or fake, and then even throwing in crazy or paranoia, which is another added way to be dismissive to one's experience. One doesn't necessarily have to agree. It's not your story to tell, but one doesn't necessarily have to agree with every single facet of what's going on. But one doesn't have to add fuel to the fire by being dismissive, because those who are gang stalked will understand that, one of the ways or methods that they attempt to break people down is through isolation. Okay, through isolation. And in part of the isolation, that includes very little to no support system. Okay, so when one is having to traverse that obstacle, and then in addition to that, people quick with their harsh judgments rather than giving a listening ear, or even support in the way of keep going, you got this, of encouraging words. It may seem little or small, but it goes a long way, especially those who are experiencing gang stalking. Okay. Now, oh, that's nice. The other part that I wanted to add was outside of the vulnerability aspect of it, which really showed my strength in that regard, because I'm really not one to tell my business. Anybody who knows me knows that. So this was very new to me. The other part, as far as the mental strength, having to undergo, what I went through in spite of, I will say another part, so we're number 3, that I learned is it really fortified my relationship with the Most High as well as my spiritual team. Another part, as far as what I've learned about myself, is I am a motherfucking spiritual beast up in this bitch. And I say that due to the countless spiritual attacks that have been thrown my way, the psychic attacks that have been thrown my way. I don't give a fuck if you are soliciting the most powerful witch, occultist, warlock, or wizard to pay them money to come against me. I become a beast in alchemizing and transmuting energy. Okay? That's another part of what this experience has shown me, was just waking up to my gifts my spiritual gifts and abilities, okay? I don't want to make this video long. It's at 10 minutes. So what I will say is this. In retrospect, I am thankful and grateful as far as what this experience has taught me. I am not afraid, nor will I shy away of admitting my struggles. And I did mention this probably in a previous video that it's one of the parts is forgiveness. I'm not talking about forgiveness as far as, you know, certain individuals, okay? I'll say that. And I only say that because, you know, it's challenging to forgive as you still being kicked. You know what I'm saying? Like actively being kicked down and still trying to forgive that person. That's a challenge. It's a challenge in itself, and it's something I struggle with. Okay, admittedly so. And the last thing that I'm going to leave you all with is, you know, my guides have told me that I don't ask when I need help, so I'm going to use this opportunity to do that. So my first ask would be, if you've come across this video, it is your third time at least coming across this video, you're not a subscriber, please share this story. This can assist others as far as them being more knowledgeable on what gangstalking is, what satanic ritual abuse is in the form of spiritual and psychic attacks, and then the different ways of how gangstalking can show up, okay? I will admit that gangstalking, if we want to use lawyer terms, whatever the fuck, I mean, it's no different than a hate crime, like on some real shit. But anyways, the second ask, my guys are telling me it's time for me to lawyer up. So I'm not so much worried about, you know, the spiritual and psychic attacks, but more specifically about the criminal activities, fraudulent activities, and civil fraudulent activities that have been done against me. So my ancestors are telling me to lawyer up, and they will guide me through the process. But nevertheless, I'm always open to recommendations and referrals. And I think that's it. I want to see if I'm missing anything. One thing I'll leave you guys with is detachment. I've gotten really good at detachment. It almost forces you to those who are being heavily gang-stalked, you know, especially because the goal is to strip everything away that these folks may deem or these folks may feel is of importance to you. So the best way to counteract that is to practice detachment. Okay, so that's the last part I wanted to add on there. So I think I'm going to end it here. I'll see you on the side. These are my final thoughts. And on to the next one. The next video, the next video will be focusing, be shifting the focus back on to holistic practice, my shamanic practice. Okay, y'all. So with that, peace. I'm out.